folks, Jenny here. I'm known as New York on some parts of social media, and I present ukulele content online, both here on YouTube and also on Patreon. If you'd like to support me doing more of these types of tutorials, please join us over there. There's lots of bonus content, but also I try to have lots of content on YouTube for anyone to watch, and this is one of those series. It's called the One Take Tutorial, and I sit down and live stream a lesson on an arrangement that I've made, how to play a song, how to do a particular technique, another ukulele topic we might like to talk about, and I have a lot of fun doing these. So thank you to my patrons for supporting me and making that more possible, but also thank you to you for watching, and even if you never give me a dime, I'm really glad you're here. Speaking of never giving me a dime, I'm happy to have anybody at my 4 monthly play-alongs, which are on Zoom and YouTube. So check out public posts on Patreon, as well as on my website, newukenewyork.com, for more information on those. I do 2 mixed level and 2 more beginner level, but anyone's welcome at any of them. And there are some downsides to not all being in the same room together when we play-alongs, but there's also some upsides too, to you being able to experiment more on your end. So it's kind of fun to see what we can do with the Zoom format, so and YouTube format. So join us for those each month, and let's get into this tutorial. Today I thought I would teach a song that is in my mixed level my mixed level play-along songbook. I add a few new songs each month. My patrons get to vote on the ones that I add, and a couple of months ago, I think it was now, I added This Will Be Our Year by the Zombies, by Chris White of the Zombies. This is a great song. I started playing it really early and learning ukulele, and it was very difficult for me. It's more of an intermediate chord song, but I kept at it. I actually started playing it every year on January 1st to welcome in the new year, and so it's the song that I have covered the most on my YouTube channel. There's probably 6 or 7 versions of me playing this song, and you can see my progress through the years as I get a little bit more adept at playing those chords, which is kind of fun for me at least to look back on. But I wanted to teach how I play it, not how you should play it, but how I play it, to give you options of how you might like to approach it. And if you really love this song, then it will give you at least one key that you can try it in, and you let me know in the comments what you end up doing. If you end up keeping it in this key and playing it this way, if you make other changes to the arrangement, which is great. I always welcome people to make every song their own. You should be. And so tag me if you post this on social media and use some part of my arrangement, or just spin off from it and make your own. I'd love to see it. But let's get right into it. This song does have some sort of intermediate chords in it, so we're going to spend a little more time going over the chords than we sometimes do. And I should say that I'm going to put this up on the screen with the chords sometimes, but sometimes I want you to be able to see my hands a little bit more closely. So I would recommend that you have the chords on your end as well, whether it's on another screen or you've printed it out, it's on another device. Go ahead and pick up the chords from the link in the description box, which is a Google Drive link. It's totally free. Or get it from the or get it from the Patreon post if you're a patron and you came here via a Patreon post. I'll link it there as well. Or there are lots and lots of chord charts, and if this one isn't there already, I'll put it up after this lesson, that are on my website, newukenewyork.com. So you can always check out the chord chart page over there, and that kind of catalogs almost everything that I've released as a chord chart. I'm working on getting a few more up there. There's also the New York Song Index, which is a spreadsheet that will show you songs I've covered and what I've taught tutorials on and what we have over on Patreon and all that kind of stuff. So those are all resources that you can use, but have the chords. I will show them on the screen sometimes. I'm going to start out by showing them on the screen just so you can get a look at the arrangement, and then we will take them off and talk a little bit more about some of these trickier chords to play. And of course, I'll put timestamps in the description box, so if you already know how to play these chords, you can skip ahead. So let's look at the simpler chords in the song first. I've got them all listed sort of roughly in the order that they come up in the song, but not quite. Sometimes I put similar shapes next to each other so you can see how some of the chords move. But basically, we have 2 different kinds of chords in this song. We have what people call bar chords that might use a bar, but also I'm going to lump it even further, lump a larger group together and say we've got chords that cover all 4 strings of your ukulele, which are known as movable chord shapes. And I have a ukulele tutorial, one of these one-take tutorials video on playing bar chords. So you can check that out if you want some more help with bar chords, but we're going to lump all the chords that cover 4 strings together. And first we're going to talk about the chords that do not cover 4 strings. So let's just go down the row. We've got your 2-finger A. That's often one of the very first chords people learn. A7 is the same way. D is considered a beginner chord, although it's a little trickier for people who are just learning. I understand that. There's lots of ways to play the D. I play it with my fingers stacked, but feel free to use the shape that makes the most sense to you to get those 3 notes. Then we're going to skip to the E7. That covers 3 strings now, and so you've got a little bit more complicated shape. The D also did, but it was at least all in one line. So you've got that E7 coming in here. That's often an advanced beginner chord. Then we've got a D minor, another chord people learn around that same time, another 3-finger chord. And then we're going to skip all the way down to the F, which is similar to D minor. You lift your ring finger there when you're playing D minor and you've got an F chord. You've got a 1-finger C. And then you've got a C minor, which is similar to the D chord in its shape. It's 3 strings, but it is the 3rd fret of the C, E, A strings. So that's the C minor. So those are all the chords that do not cover all 4 strings. Now I'm going to take the chord chart off the screen and talk to you about the chords that do cover all 4 chords rather, that are movable shapes. And some of them you will see in a couple different places on your fretboard because, in part, because we have a key change in this song. Now you could play the song without the key change. You could play, because it's, see how it repeats, the warmth of your love, the warmth of your smile. You could use the same chords, even though the lyrics are slightly different, from the top down here where the key chain is. So you could keep going with the A, C sharp minor, A7, D on this line down here. Same thing with this next stanza, and I won't forget, you could use the B, D minor, A instead of the C, E flat minor, B flat. It's going to be up to you. I love the key change, and so I think even the first year that I played this, I did the key change, even though some of the chords were very difficult for me, and you can see me having to be a little slower, and I have a little more struggle bus going on the first video that I made probably. But it was still like worth it to me to get the key change in there. So, you know, you can make that choice for yourself. But let me show you a little bit bigger on the screen how I play the 4-finger chords. And if you have other methods of playing them, that's great too. People have different amounts of dexterity and you know, are able to do different things with their hands, so feel free to adapt that as you need. There also are other chord shapes for all of these chords that you could play. I won't go into them, of course, because, you know, it would make this video way too long, but you can look up other ways to play any of these chords, and some may be easier, some may be harder. And some may not give you the sound you want, because sometimes as we go higher up the neck, the sound gets very particular, and we only like it for very particular applications. All right, so first 4-finger or 4-string chord that we have here is a bar chord. For me, at least, I play as a bar chord. C sharp minor. You've got usually these sort of guidance dots. You may have one on 3. You may have one on your 5th fret. Almost everybody has one at least on their 5th fret, if not on their 3rd fret. And then they also go up 7, 10, 12. They'll change if you're on a baritone ukulele, they're more like a guitar. But here, I've got one on my 5. It's also on the side of my neck. That doesn't happen for everybody. Can you see it there? But if you don't, there it is. If you don't have one on the side of your neck, you should have one at least on the top of your fretboard. For the first few times, the reason I'm saying this is the first few times I played this song, I really had to look for where my C sharp minor was supposed to land, like every time. And I had to make sure my fingers were sort of straddling that 5th fret, because your bar goes on the 4th fret, and your ring finger, or your pinky if you prefer, goes on the 6th fret of the G string. So you go around that 5th fret. Nothing's pressing on the 5th fret, but that can be sort of a homing device for you to see that there. Now, I really love this C sharp minor chord. It's used in a lot of songs that I like to play and the keys that I like to play it in, so I find myself playing this chord a lot, and you will start to get muscle memory when you're moving back and forth to the C sharp minor, but I still have to glance down sometimes to see if I'm about to land my C sharp minor in the right spot. Feel free to look down at your fretboard, even if you're trying to get away from looking down at your fretboard. Then the next movable chord shape, and all I mean by movable chord shape is that you can take these shapes and move them up and down. So like that C sharp minor, if you move it down two fret spaces, each, you know, keeping the same shape, you're playing a B minor, C minor, C sharp minor. So that's true for all of these 4-finger chords. The next one is F7. We will play this in 2 shapes if you do the key, or in 2 places if you play the key change. We'll play the F7 chord, and I put my F shape, and the next one I put my ring and my pinky finger on the C and A strings of the 3rd fret. You're also going to move that whole shape up 1 fret and play an F sharp 7 in this song. So that is another place we will use that shape. You can play a 3-finger F7 with your pinky not in use. So you can just leave your A string open with that same shape, but it doesn't work for the F sharp 7. You really need to place that pinky down to get the right notes. Then we're looking at the B shape next, which you will use in a couple of different ways. This is such a versatile shape. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but I like to bar across the the E and the A. You can do a full bar on this shape as well. And then you've got your middle and your ring coming in on the third fret of the C and the 4th fret of the G string. But since this is a movable shape we will see in different places, I just want you to get that shape however you're going to play it, and then I want you to practice doing it in different spots, because for example in this song we will also do it on the 1st fret for your index finger, and that is a B flat. And then in some songs, or you could even choose to do it in this one, we could do that on the 3rd fret, and that would be a C. So this is a great shape to know. It moves up and down the neck. Then next we have a B flat 7, another bar chord, or again, I play it as a bar chord, bar across the 1st fret, and then I put my middle finger down on the 2nd fret of the C string. That's the B flat 7, and again, we don't need to move that one in this song, I don't think, but if you moved it up, you'd be playing a B7, and then you'd be playing a C7. It sounds different than the other C7, but it has the same component notes, they're just different sort of tones of the same note, or different octaves. Now we've got, what else? We've got an E flat that is a 4-finger E flat. I like the 4-finger E flat, especially on a low G. You can technically only play a 3-finger E flat and leave your G string open. You hear how the G string and the E string are the same, so that's not an unharmonious note to leave your G open. And if you put your finger down on the G string on the 3rd fret, then you're playing the same note as you're playing on your A string. So either way, it doubles a note. So that's why it's okay to pick up that finger there if you need to. But I recommend you learn the 4-finger E flat, because it's the same as that dreaded E shape everybody hates. I have a video on the E shape and playing E as well, different ways to play E. So I use the 4-finger for this song because I like to practice that shape. And then what else do we have here? We've done the F sharp 7 and the F7. Oh, the F7's written on here twice, I see. And then at the very bottom of the chords, there's an E flat minor. Now, I will tell you, this chord I could not get in time with the song, at least the first year that I recorded this, and maybe the second year too, so I used a cheat. For E flat minor, I put my, sort of like I'm starting my, I don't know, my B flat or something, but I just put my index down on the 1st fret of the A string. I put my middle finger down on the 2nd fret of the E, and then I bring my ring and pinky around. Now I keep my ring finger in front, so it's on the G string, and my pinky finger behind, so it's on the C. It is a strange shape, and you can play that with a full bar if that's more comfortable for you. You know, figure out a full bar on the index finger, that is. Figure out what works for you. It's not a comfortable shape to get to. It will take some practice if you haven't been playing that before, unless you're just a E flat minor savant, in which case, congratulations. But for the cheat, what I did the first, at least year, as I said, and maybe the first 2 years that I played this, and I may still even do it sometimes without even thinking about it, I played an E flat. So you can get away with the E flat in this song. That won't always work when you need E flat minor. You hear how they're similar. E flat minor, and then E flat. Has a brighter sound. E flat minor has a little bit of a more minor or sort of sad sound to it. So you can play the E flat instead of E flat minor in this song and get away with it. I've tested it for you. Let's look back at the arrangement and see how this song works. And I'm not going to go through the chord movements now because I actually want to single strum through them and talk about it. But I just want to say that this song basically has an intro, it has 2 stanzas, then it has a sort of another sort of interstitial transition or instrumental portion like the intro, and then you've got your key change, which is basically your first 2 stanzas again with slightly different lyrics. Some of the lyrics are the same though, so the lyrics don't vary a lot. And then you've got a sort of an outro section down here at the bottom where there's another instrumental transition, and then there's sort of a reprise of part of the second stanza, and no, the first stanza that we've already repeated once, and then we do one more like little instrumental final outro. So this may not be exactly like the original, but it's fairly similar, and I think it'll sound familiar to those of you who like the original. Obviously, I'm more used now to my covers of it than I am the original because I've played it so many times, but that probably will not be anyone else's situation. So the other thing about this song is that the rhythm of it is not like your standard 4-beat song, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So while you could maybe stretch it into something like island strum that we often use to play songs like that, I don't like to. I like to keep it in that 6-beat pulse that I feel for this song. The warmth of your love's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I feel this beat in 6, and if that's not true for you, you can play this a different way. But if it is true for you, then follow me on this, because I like to do this with a lot of down strums. Not only did I find that approachable when I was a beginner first playing this, I actually found it really effective even when I was no longer a beginner. When I moved on to an advanced beginner or early intermediate or whatever we want to call the whatever comes next. So I found myself still going back to those same down strums and maybe just varying them a little bit. So let's talk about how you can vary your down strums. You could play through this whole song just using single strums when the chords change. And if these chords are hard for you, that may be what you want to do. And I do recommend that you start with that if you need to, because it can sound just as lovely, and you can have sort of a different vibe to it if you want, and you can play through the whole song with just one strum on each chord. And we'll do that in a minute just to talk about how the chords are changing in this song. But if you're going to do something a little bit more, you could break it into 2. Like you could think of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could strum the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could give each of those chords a 2-beat sort of, you're breaking it up into 2 clumps of 3 pulses in your head, and that gives you a chance to strum twice on each chord. I like to take it even a little further, and either, I might do a whole 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes I'll do that. Or sometimes I will break it down and I'll throw in a little pause or a hit. I'll do 4 and then I'll wait. So then you'd be doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was just strumming, but if you want to try hitting it, you can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's 2 ways to do these hits, and you can see which one sounds better to you and which one you're more able to do to help you decide what you're going to do. But basically you can do that 4 and then strum the 4th one, and then you can mute it with your strumming hand. So you can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is different from a chuck, and when I was first playing the song, and I probably still do this occasionally, I would accidentally chuck when I was trying to do a hit just because it's a similar hand motion, but with the chuck you stop the sound as you strum it. And with the hit, you want it to ring out before you stop it. So do a little practice on that. I'm just on my A chord. And then try it with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you want, you can do the muting. That's the part where we stop the sound with your fretting hand. This is a little bit more advanced, but it's very versatile, and it's great to be able to do this as a skill. It's a good thing to practice. And for that, any chord you're on, you're going to need to think, do I have any strings that are ringing free? If I don't have a finger on those strings, I need to block that sound. So you'll need to take at least one, if not more than one, of whatever fingers are not holding chords down. Like on my A chord, I've got my ring and my pinky here I could use to block the sound on the chords that are not being pushed down by your fingers. And you're going to do that simultaneously at the same time that you lift up on the chord you've been making, just slightly. You don't want to bring your fingers off the strings, but you want to leave them on the strings but relax so that it also mutes that sound, because the difference between and then relax it, that's what you want to do for the relaxation of your, your mute. So for example, on the A, I'm going to stop the sound with these fingers, but also relax these two fingers. And you can practice just the pulsing. Some people call this pump strum, but it's a left-hand mute if you're a right-handed player. Otherwise, it's a right-hand mute if you're a left-handed player. And then you can do that in rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could do that through this song. I won't go through how you would pump each of these chords because so many of them are. This is one case in which bar chords and movable chord shapes help us. So many of them are already covering all 4 strings. It is much easier to mute. If you can play that, for example, F7 shape, you don't have to have a finger free to block any strings because they're all being touched by your fingers already. So all you have to do is the release or relax motion. All you have to do is that pump. And again, don't take your fingers off the strings. Just lift enough that you're not pressing down anymore and it stops the sound. It's going to be easier to do on the bar and other 4-finger shapes that you do, or 4-string shapes, 4-finger, 4-string. It's really 4 strings. If all 4 strings are being held down by your fingers, it's easier to do this pump strum once you get the hang of the actual shapes. All right, so that is how the rhythm works. Think of the 1, 2, 3, 4 or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Depending on how many times you feel like you can manage to strum in between these chords. And when the chords are trickier, you want to give yourself a little more time to set up the next one. That's when single strums or just 2 strums on 1 and 4 comes in really handy. And the other thing I'll say is for effect going through this song, you can vary it up. So sometimes you might be feeling more of like the driving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. I do sometimes when I'm playing this song, especially in transitions or at the ends of stanzas, and sometimes you may just want 1. So play around with that as you play the song. If you play it as many times as I've played it, you can have a lot of fun with it playing it different ways. Or you may find that there's one way that you love that you somehow lock yourself in, even though you're not even meaning to play it the same way every time. So let's look now with single strums. I'm going to put the chords back up on the screen, and we'll look at single strums moving through these chords. So the intro is going to be roughly, or is it exactly like the first 2 lines of the song? It is. It's exactly like the first 2 lines of the song. So let's just start with the first 2 lines of the song for single strumming. And we're going to go slow, and I'm going to think about, rather than singing, I'm going to think about chord movement. So let's just kind of talk through this, how you're going to move from chord to chord. You've got the warmth, A, of your love. Slide your index finger up for that bar on 4, and then put your ring in place. Loves. And again, if you play this differently than I do with different fingerings, that's absolutely fine, but this is just how I'm thinking of it. Trying to prioritize economy of movement and also making my fingers feel like they're not being twisted into pretzels. Loves. Now you're going to slide back where you came from to go to the A7, like the warmth. And I wouldn't like leap my whole hand off the fretboard and put it back down. I'm not trying to make a slide sound, but I'm just trying to go without lifting too far off the strings. Warmth, and then I would bring my index forward, put it in place for my D, and stack those other 2 fingers behind it for sun. And now for F7, I'm going to lead with my index, put it where the F shape goes, and then put my other 2 fingers in place. And this will be drop my index down to the G for E7 and swing my middle and ring around. Our ear. Now for D, I'm almost in the right spot. I just need to move my index forward and move my ring finger 1 fret toward my face if I'm a right-handed player. Long time to back to A. Come. Now you could go from E7. This is another thing I talk about in a lot of videos. You could go from E7 to D with the middle finger stack, middle ring pinky, and then when you go to A, it's even easier because all you do is put your index down and lift your ring and your pinky. But that's just 2 different ways to approach the D chord, whether you're stacking from your middle finger up or your index finger up. You either have to do a little more of a switch for the A, or you could have the A already there, ready to go. There's not a better way, it's just whatever works better for you and what you prefer. So that's the first stanza. Remember, that's going to repeat, although with slightly different shapes if you do the key change. And then you're going from the A to the B, and so I'm just going to move my index into place for what I do, the partial bar, but you could do a full bar on the 2nd fret there. I won't forget D minor. I've got my index close to where it needs to be for D minor. I'm just going to slide it down. The way you helped me. This D minor shape sort of collapses into an A nicely if I think about leaving my middle finger where it is and just moving my index to the C string and lifting my ring finger. So it's kind of like D minor, A becomes smaller than the D minor. It's just a mental image for me, not something you actually need to physically do with your fingers. And then you're doing the same thing again, so you're going from your A to your B again. Won't forget the way you said. Now back to B minor. I'm going to lead with my bar, darling, I love you. And I'm going to take my index again and go back into position for the E7. You gave me faith to go A. That just was like a little bit of a turn for my finger there. Now I'm sliding up again with my bar to the C sharp minor. And I'm going back. Now this is like we've already done that motion in the first line of the song, and the D came next. We already did all that. And then we're repeating the 2nd line of the song. So that is a repeat from the first stanza. And then you're going to do the same thing you did in your intro again. So we're going to skip that because we're just looking at chord movement. But also, again, you could play this in time with just these single strums. Now let's look at the key change. I'm going to take this off of the screen for now, just so you can see my hands move a little bit better. So with the key change, we're coming from an A, and then I like to put a chuck at the end. That's what that X means. Or you can just loosely hold your fingers around the fretboard and just strum down. So you can just do a scrape or a chuck. And then you're going from your A shape to B flat. So I'm kind of turning my hands so that I get my bar into the right place. Warmth. Now that goes to D minor, which I can keep my index on the 1st fret of my E string and sort of turn into my D minor. And then I'm going to put my index all the way down for the B flat 7. And I'm going to move that middle finger to the C string for B flat 7, and then I'm going to take my index and plant it and get into my E flat shape. E flat's easier with my finger on the back, or my thumb rather, so if I find my thumb peeking up too hard over here, then I want to try to mindfully bring it back down so that I've got my E flat shape a little nicer. And then from there I'm going to take this index finger and move it to the E string, slide my middle finger over to the 2nd fret of the G, and then I'm almost in the right place for my F7. I don't even have to move my ring finger. My pinky comes up to the A string, and that is, oh, sorry, we're going to F sharp 7 because we did the key change, sorry. So, sorry, E flat, I'm going to shift that whole shape up one, so index goes to the 2nd fret, but then you still have your middle finger in the right spot. I moved my I moved my ring finger to the wrong spot. Let's do that one more time. E flat, index forward, middle stays where it is, other 2 fingers scoot forward. There's your F sharp 7. There it is. Now back to F. You could do an F7 there. That would work also because we did an E7 in the first section, so for transposing this, you could do an F7 there. I don't know why I like the sound of the F better there, so I left it an F, but F7 is really what you're doing if you're just doing the same chords but up a step here. And then you run back to E flat, and if that was too much music theory for you, just ignore me. Get your E flat, so I go from this F shape to bringing my index up again to plant for the E flat, and then back to B flat, which I can sort of lay my finger down and get the other 2 fingers in place. And then it goes through the same chords again on the 3rd line, and then the same chords again on the 4th line. So that was the same, the second 2 lines of the 3rd stanza basically. And now we're going from a B flat, a long time to come in the key change, we're going up to C. You could just slide that whole shape up 2 frets, but won't forget, or you can go with bring your ring finger maybe out and do the 1 finger C. A reason I do ring fingers because next you're going to an E flat minor, and I want you to have your index free to plant it for the E flat minor if you're going to try it. Remember, you could do E flat here, but I'm going to do E flat minor, so I'm going to bring my other 2 fingers around the way you helped me. Remember, if that's too hard, just go to your E flat, way you helped me. Now B flat, so you lie that finger back down again, lay that finger back down again. And then the same thing happens in the next line, except that you go from your E flat or your E flat minor to C minor. Now you could do a couple things here. You could move these ring and pinky fingers up to your E and A string and then stack your middle below it. And that's a C minor. Or if it's more comfortable for you to stack from your index up, sort of like we thought about with the D chord, you can bring it index, middle, ring. But there's the C minor. Now back to F7. So I'm going to pull my index down to my first fret and put my F7 shape in place. And remember, it's built on the F. So you've got an F chord in there, and then you've got two other notes coming off to the side. If that's helpful for you, you can think of it that way. And then back to B flat. And then you're going to a D minor. So you already have a finger in the right place for D minor. Again, you just pull your fingers over. And then you've got your B flat 7. You lie that finger down on your first fret for B flat 7, and then you're shifting back into E flat. I'm going to again plant my index, and then this is the same line as it was in the previous stanza. F sharp 7, F, E flat, B flat. Now you've got a little bit more movement that we've already done. You're going to do the B flat, D minor, B flat 7, E flat again, which we just did on the on. Now we're there and we've only just begun. That's basically what you're playing again, but with no words. And then you finish the song by singing the rest. And this will be, we just did that part, our year. And then I like to do no chord there, so you can do a little vocalization. Took a long time. I just did that in the wrong key. To come. And then you're going out of it with D minor, B flat 7, my. There's your E flat. You can be really free with that vocally and with the strumming. I usually do some single strums in there. And then you're finishing off with, again, sort of like the last 4 chords of the song. The same chords you did on This Will Be Our Year Took a Long Time to Come. You're just playing them again. If you're in the key change, F sharp 7, F, or F7. And maybe F7 would be nice on that outro, even if you like F when you're singing. E flat, and then B flat, B flat, E flat, B flat for the very end of the song. And I usually will finish on a single strum, but you could finish it another way. So you could play that whole song with single strums, and maybe let's just do the first part of it with single strums a little more in time, so that you can practice that if you want. But then I'm going to do a longer playthrough at the end of this where I do the whole thing with the key change, and you can play along with that, either strumming it similarly to me or with single strums. So don't feel like you won't get a chance to play through the whole song with single strums if you are wanting to do that. You can always just play one strum, even if I continue to play more strums. So let's just look at the first 2 stanzas. I'm going to keep it off the screen in case it's helpful for you to look at my fingers. All right, so let's try a little bit slow. 1, 2, 3. The warmth of your love's like the warmth from the sun, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come to. Don't let go of my hand, now your darkness is gone too. This will be our year, took a long time to come to. And I won't forget the way you held me up when I was down, and I won't forget the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to go on to. Now we're here, there, and we've only just begun to. This will be our year. Took a long time to come to. Okay, I counted us in a little bit weird, I'm sorry, because I realized that I wanted to think of this as more a 2 pulse and count it that way, so I didn't have to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or the 1, 2, 3 if you break that down further. So sorry about that. Now let's, what should we do now? Let's go through the whole song and we can kind of explore it with 6 pulses, 4 pulses and hits, and single strums if you're playing single strums, or the double strums that we talked about. Why don't I demonstrate one of those in each section of the song? How about that? Let's do, for the intro and the first stanza, let's do single strums. And then I'm going to do, for the second stanza and that next instrumental portion, I'll do doubles, the 1, 2. And then I will do the whole 6 beats for the warmth of your smile with the key change. And then I will do the 4 and a hit for I Won't Forget. And then we'll just kind of do, we'll continue that until we get to end. This will be Our Year, the outro part. And I'll sort of show you how I like to play that part. Let's try that. Let me put this back up on the screen and we'll look at it together in case that's helpful for you. All right, so let's start with the intro with single strums. Again, we won't go too fast. 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 2, 2, 2, F7, 2, A7, 2, A2, A, chuck. The warmth of your love's like the warmth from the sun, too, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come. This repeats. Don't let go of my hand. Now your darkness is gone, too. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. I'm going to do 2 strums, and I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down. You can keep going with 1 if that's helpful. And I won't forget the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to go on. Now we're there, and we've only just begun. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. Let's keep going with 2. This is the instrumental. It's very much like the original, the intro. You're just doing 2 instead of 1, unless you're still doing 1, which is also fine. 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I'm going to go to 6 pulses, and I'm going to do the key change. So get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The warmth of your smile. Sorry, let's start it again because I did a hit. Well, I didn't mean to, because clearly that's how I play this when I play this song. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The warmth of your smile. 4, 5, 6. Smile for me, little one. 4, 5, and this key change will be our year for a long time to come. 5, 6. You don't have to worry. All your worry days are gone. And this will be our year. Took a long time to come. And now we're going to do the hits. And I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down. 1, 2, 3, hit. And I won't forget the way you said, I did the E minor, E flat there. Love you, you gave me faith to go on. Hit. Now we're there, hit. And we've only just begun. Hit. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. Then we'll do some more hits here. Hit, D minor, 3, 4, hit. 1, 2, 3, hit. E flat, 2, 3, hit. And this gets really expressive, so slow it down. And this will be our year. You can use your thumb to strum those if you want to go even more slowly through them. Took a long time to, let's do sixes. Come, D minor, B flat 7, my, F sharp 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slow it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, B flat. So, that didn't go as badly as I was afraid it might. So I just gave you in each section of that a different way that you could strum the entire song. And then I also gave you the freedom to break it up. So you can do whole stanzas one way, or you can do some lines one way, or you can change it by chord. You can do what you're feeling. And I have a video that I've made pretty recently on intuitive strumming, and this is a great song for intuitive strumming. I mean, I think all songs are great for intuitive strumming, but this is a really nice one because once you get that pulse, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you can decide how you want to land on it. Do you want to hit the 1 and the 4? Do you want to just hit the 1? Do you want to hit all 6? Do you want to hit 3 and then hit? The last hit was a hit. You can mix it up, and I sound excited about it because I'm enthusiastic about you trying it out and trying some different ways to play this. You could play the whole song the exact same way all the way through too, and that's not boring if that's what you want to do and that's what makes it playable for you. If you want to play this song and the way you can play this song is single strumming it all the way through, then own it. Like, as long as it seems like you're doing it on purpose, other people are going to be fine with that. And you don't have to play it for other people either. I know some people are just playing for themselves. So do what's making you happy on this. And if it's making you happy to be more experimental and to try lots of different things out, or even try picking it. I haven't picked this one, I don't think yet, but that would be fun to try sometime. Just get the pulse in your head of what's working for you and make it feel like you can play around with it a little bit. So let's do a playthrough of this. Let's do 2 playthroughs if we have time. I think we have time. A playthrough of the whole song with the chords on the screen, so that if that's helpful to you, you can see it, and then the whole song with the chords not on the screen. And I'm going to go ahead and just play it intuitively, and I want you to play it along with me like you want to play it. So I'm going to keep the beat, except for in that last part where it slows down a little bit. I'm going to try to keep a fairly steady beat so that you can decide, am I going to play 1 here, I'm going to play on the 1 and the 4, am I going to play the 3 and then a hit, I'm going to play 6s, whatever is working for you. Try it out. So let's give it a shot. Let's try it twice together. Let's try it first with the chords on the screen. Here we go. There are the chords. All right, so let's get this all on the screen. Try to get all the chords on there for you too if I can. All right, we won't go too fast. How about the first one I'll do a little under tempo, and the second one I'll do a little up to tempo. However, just the tempo I like. You might like it at a different tempo. You can use the gear icon on YouTube videos to slow me down or speed me up, so feel free to. All right, let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm throwing in some ups too. I didn't tell you I was going to do that. The warmth of your love is like the warmth from the sun, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come. It's hard for me to keep it slow. Don't let go of my hand. Now your darkness is gone. This will be our year. Took a long time to come, and I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down, and I won't forget the way you saved single strum. Took a long time to come. My. All right. I sped up a little bit at the end there. I got excited. Let's do it one more time with the chords off the screen. You know, one of the things I found is that if you're trying to E flat minor and you need a little more time to get your fingers sort of scooched around into that E flat minor shape, do the hit or the two beat, so or the single strum. And won't forget the way you helped, or if you're a little more advanced, you can get a few more chords in there, or a few more hits in there, or a few more strums. 1, 2, 3. So you can the way you helped me, and you can kind of get a little more time to finagle your fingers in there. So that's another way that doing not the 6th pulse, some other version of the strums we've just been talking about can help you with some of the trickier chord changes. Make sure you give yourself a little time. Sometimes in my notes to myself and how I want to play something, I will write in a little exclamation point if I want to do the hit. Or you might write yourself 4 or 2 or whatever will make sense to you when you see it on the page of, oh, I was going to do this part all in 6s. I like to do 6s at the ends of the lines sometimes because it feels like it gives you momentum into the next line or the next section. So that's often when I'll open up and do a full 6-beat pulse. All right, so let's just play this one more time. I know this video is getting kind of long. Thanks for hanging in there. If you're still watching or if you've skipped ahead to this, that's great too. I'm going to do a little bit more up to tempo that I like to perform this at, but again, your tempo, your perfect tempo may be different than mine. So let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like the warmth from the sun, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come. Don't let go of my hand, now your darkness is gone. This will be our year. Took a long time to come, and I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down, and I won't forget the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to God. Now we're there, and we've only just begun. This will be our year. Took a long time to the warmth of your smile, smile for me, little one, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come. You don't have to worry, all your worry days are gone, and this will be our year. Took a long time to come, and I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down. Don't do that. And I won't forget, there we go, the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to go on. Now we're there, and we've only just begun. This will be our year. Took a long time long time to come. My, my. All right. When I said don't do that, I meant don't get excited and think, oh, I'm just going to slide up from long time to come in the key change. Let me show you this on the screen. This is what I did that I wouldn't do again. I was just experimenting. I went from this long time to come at the end of the first stanza during the key change, and I thought I'll just slide up to that same shape on the C, but then I didn't have time to get my E flat minor in place, and I bobbled it. So I like the one finger C there so that I have time to have my index ready over here to put that E flat minor in place. You know, your mileage may vary. You may be better at hitting that E flat minor than me, but that is how I would play it if I were to do it all over again. But I'm not going to do it all over again now because there's 6 or 7 other covers of this already on YouTube from me, let alone from other people. So I hope this was a helpful video to you. Now that we've reached the end of the tutorial for how I like to play and how I would like you to get to play around with This Will Be Our Year by Chris White of the Zombies. I hope you have some fun with it, and I hope you let me know in the comments what you liked best, what's working for you. Do you like those hits? Do you like to do 6 pulses? Tag me again if you have any covers that you make and let me know. I'm really excited to hear if you play this one. And of course we can play it in the mixed level jams that I host twice a month on Zoom because I've put it in the songbook. So those are on Tuesdays. Check out my Patreon or my website, newukenewyork.com, for more on those. They're free. They're open to anybody. You don't have to be a patron of mine. But as my final note, I do like to thank the patrons again. Thank you so much for supporting me. I have fun with y'all, and I think we have a nice little community over there, but also it really feels like a privilege to get to spend a little more time doing ukulele because of the support you give me. So whether you're a patron for 1 month or for more than a year, I thank you so much, and I'm glad to have you there. And I'm glad to have those of you who aren't patrons here as well. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far in the video, thanks so much. Let me know in the comments what you might like me to teach in my next one-take tutorial, whether it's a skill, whether it's a song, especially if it's something I've covered already or that's already in my songbook. I do take requests, so let me know. And I'll see y'all on the internet. Thanks again for being here.